Hey guys, this is Maya from CryptoBay.cafe, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about Voyager Part 2, Sailing the Insolvent Sea, and how it looks bad from all sides. And we're going to look at their bankruptcy documents and go over a few disclosures that they forced everyone to sign without reading that kind of disable people from participating in lawsuits against them. And again, this is not financial advice, and I'm not a lawyer. I am just reporting what is observed. So let's get into it. So first, I want to simply start with the fact that, Voyager has been a little weird for a while. I don't think any of these interest-bearing accounts were running on, pure, they had a pure business concept. I really think it was just a pause and we'll figure out it later. Let's just keep trying to capitalize off of, everyone investing at the same time. So that's kind of scary. So we're going to go to an article that discusses where they are. So I think last time I recorded my vids, I was just saying how it's kind of weird that they, stop withdrawals and then they're rumored to be involved in like massive liquidations. And the moment I posted it, about 3 days later, they decided to stop withdrawals. And I'm like, okay. And I just want to understand. So if your bank just stopped your withdrawals, right, what would you think that they're doing? Again, usually it's representation that the cash on hand versus what's being removed from their accounts isn't balanced. So if I don't have enough cash to give you and I'm still operating as a business, I'm gonna have to shut it down real quick. Because what does that do? That stops the outflow of of deposits or money, right? So when we think about that, it's like, okay, well, they essentially didn't want to keep the outflow of crypto going because they knew they were at a loss. And then previously, I think in our last video, we are looking at Voyager was operating for a loss for a few years. I mean, it's one of them was like 293 million. I mean, when you're consistently operating on a loss for a few years and then something like this happens, it's never really quite the best if you think about it. Like it's just gonna be a nightmare. So cool. So yeah, so Coindesk reported. So at its height, it had 3.59 million users, $59 billion in assets with the B. The 97% of Voyager's clients stored less than $10,000, which is, it may not be a lot to you, but that could be a lot for someone just starting in crypto to place on their platform. Um, so the issue I have here is that this is being caused because they loaned money. They gave unsecured loans to Three Arrows Capital. Now, to me, I don't understand how you have the capacity to pull out unsecured loans to people and just be like, "Oh, here, there you go." Because, and then the amount of the unsecured loan is crazy. It's 650 million, which is darn near a billion. You guys are worth 5.9 billion in assets. I don't know what their cash or on crypto on hand balance was, but it doesn't seem like you're in a position to be just lending out nearly $1 billion to people uncredited or uncollateralized. It just seems like a poor business decision. On July 1st, Voyager froze customer funds, we know that, and just days later it filed for bankruptcy protection. The debtors are facing a short-term run on banks, according to the statement Eldridge filed alongside its bankruptcy papers. The debtors have a viable business plan for the future. And then under Chapter 11, the company is seeking to reorganize rather than liquidate. So let's not. So again, reorganization when it comes to these type of companies, it benefits them, right? Because at the same time, Chapter 11, you know what Chapter 11 does? It also prevents customers from suing you. So let's not say, I like it when people word this to see like, oh, they're doing such nice things to protect the customer. You don't care about the customer, obviously, because you wouldn't have been lending out more than you can cash if you cared about the customer. If that was really the vibe. So to reorganize rather than to liquidate, because they're still trying to win out of this. Because remember, again, they received lots of loans for a lot of people. And I'm going to go over the bankruptcy sheet and show you guys they received all this money and then decided to declare bankruptcy. So that to me is like, okay, well, why were you taking out loans to prevent bankruptcy? It's like you don't, so you're going bankrupt, right? And you're trying to save yourself. The only reason you would take a loan is because you thought you could financially acquire enough capital to fix your situation. So to go into bankruptcy after taking loans is like you have a secondary plan to reestablish yourself and then acquire enough and then write off the loss that was acquired from whatever bad debt you had. Game recognizes game. Okay, I'm just saying this is what it looks like. So I just, before they start saying we're doing this to protect, you don't care about your users, because you would have again made withdrawals available for a period of time and then able to get some money out, because at the end of the day this was a mistake on your hand. You lent it to someone that you weren't quite sure of, uncollateralized. So again, this is you. Yeah, this is all you. So I don't think people who deposited onto your platform should have to suffer for that. So remember, and I'm going to talk about this with my podcast with my podcast partner Keely. Shout out to All Day. But 3AC, their issues started from Terra. So that's when all of this collapsed. And if you look into 3AC, they are investing in everything, literally everything. So I actually want to, in my podcast, I'm going to discuss how they might affect the whole crypto space, because when I started looking into it, they had their hands in every pot they could touch. Yeah, which is like not the best look. So things turned sour in June. Three Arrows Capital, a widely respected Singapore-based hedge fund with loans across the industry. And when we say across the industry, every project that exists, they have invested in. Every single project that nearly exists, they have invested in. And I don't know what happens to their investments. And I'm going to explore this concept on the podcast, but it could be worse. Like, I know we're all like, oh, this is cool. Like, the reason why you can't find them is because it's probably worse than we all know. Like, they are not answering questions, Three Arrows Capital. They're like on the lam. Like, but if you look at how many projects they're invested in, how much capital they raised, and if they are severely liquidated, um, you know, but the thing about it is, they have a lot of tokens that are vested. God, thank you for the, let's take one moment to thank vesting periods. So vesting periods are when you invest in a crypto project, and you get tokens, but you're not allowed to like spend them because they're locked to protect situations like this. So hopefully, a huge percentage of their portfolio is invested tokens that are locked for like 5 to 6 years, because henceforth they won't have to sell. They won't be able to sell them to get out of their bad debt. So yeah, they failed to pay up their bad debt. I think they lost like a lot. I don't know how much million in Luna, but it was like, I think it was also half a million. They also went underwater in Lido Staked and their Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. So I also heard that they were borrowing against their Grayscale, like the Bitcoin shares in Grayscale. So they were doing that, and it's just like, that's what I'm saying. It's like when you have an asset, you borrow against the asset, and then that's what you put up for your collateral. It's like, you know what you're doing. So, um, yeah, offered a 650 million secured loan. Come on, you guys know that's not appropriate. This is like a corporation with a board, and like they were on a Canadian exchange. Like, what is your risk management policy? Like, to me, this is just like, okay, just hand out loans. It's fine. And Three Arrows, it's one of Voyager's single largest lending companies. Yeah, you picked the wrong one. Okay, so yes. So this is, I don't understand this too, and I actually have to explore this. So this is the issue. So Alameda Research borrowed $367,000 from Voyager, which is weird because they also loaned them 75 million. Oh, I guess, oh, it's thousand, so it's fine, I guess. Strange. They also loaned other companies money, but that's not. Yeah, this is wrong because the actual amount is 650. This is millions. I don't think this is, but yeah, basically the astounding amount is 1 billion, not 1 million. Um, with all of them combined. I don't know why Alameda borrowed 367 million and then also had given them 75 million. So that's also like very confusing to me. I don't understand that. Um, I don't want to explore that because I think it's cool that FTX is helping everyone out, but like, mhm. So so Voyager previously loaned 350 million in stablecoins to USDC and 15,000 bitcoins to Three Arrow. And I have to ask, where did you guys get this money from? As the market continued to side, Voyager made multiple demands in June. Three Arrows Capital did not respond and also ghosting other partners. Yep, 650 millions of Voyager's funds, effectively including a lot of customers' deposits. Who gave you guys the right to do this? That's the thing about it. So that's what I think is in court you're gonna see an issue because you guys aren't supposed to be doing it. So weird again. So look at and they have a low so 3AC had a low interest rate relative to borrowers. That seemed to reflect an above average faith in the fund and multiple lenders that did make generous loans to Three Arrows Capital. I mean, I did look at that portfolio, so I'm gonna be the devil's advocate and say that, they did invest in some crazy, like some good projects. Like they did have a good taste. However, that should come out of their own pocket. I don't think you should be giving someone money to create more money. It's lazy. This is the root of all evil in this crypto scenario. Stop giving money to make more money. Figure it out yourself. I mean, at this point, Voyager, all these firms should have VC capital, a VC capital fund within their company. I don't understand why you would have to go to another person. I wonder when this happened too. I don't know when the loan was initially given out. Okay, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going. One of the holders of GBTC, which is the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust of Bitcoin, which is insane if you think about it, even from that perspective, to be lending a yacht, stake ETH. They lost their stakes. Ooh, that's evil. So 3AC's lost its entire 200 million initial stake of Luna. Oh, 20 million. It wouldn't have been as bad if they weren't underwater in the GBTC and the staked ETH. And they disappeared. Oh, honey. To stop the bleeding, Voyager in mid-June brokered a nearly 500 million loan facility with Alameda intended to support the company's short-term finances. It was a band-aid, a partial solution to a contagion-filled liquidity issue exacerbated by the greater crypto market rout. To make matters worse, Celsius, another crypto lending giant, was falling apart at the same time. Yeah, we're not going to talk about Celsius because, the Celsians like to be a little aggressive and delusional. July 1st, it froze out. So, to avoid repairable damage to the debtor's business and ensure that its trading platform operated smoothly for customers. How is it operating smoothly if you can't withdraw anything? It's funny. Celsius and Voyager have the same legal firm representing them. Hmm. Okay, so this is what I don't understand. I probably will understand in a few weeks. But so Alameda Research, which is owned by FTX, if you didn't know, loaned them 500 million. Remember, as we saw above, they also gave them 375 million. So it's like, okay, great, but like, but it was like a stacked loan, like where they only give you like a piece a month, like 75 mil a month. So, but I remember FTX, he said he was giving it to them so they wouldn't stop withdrawals. So again, the question becomes, Why did you stop withdrawals? A Chapter 11 restructuring would allow Voyager to shed the debt and restructure itself rather than having to liquidate its assets. But when we shed the debt, how does that shedding occur? I think it usually comes at the cost of deposits being reestablished too, and then someone getting a percentage of their deposits because the original deposits were used to square away debt. So I don't know how that's good for the customer. I understand how that's good for Voyager to continue, but like I don't think that that's great overall. The restructuring plan announced Monday would compensate users for missing crypto with shares of Voyager equity. No one wants that. No one wants Voyager equity. No one wants Voyager tokens. And I think financially that goes against. Is there financial consent? Does that exist? It should, like any other form of consent. But we don't. Nobody wants this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why do you think that this is a solution? It's not a solution. It's a solution for you because you guys can still, get that equity and then pay yourselves out of it and make sure you're financially taken care of just in case the public like turns on you. But I mean, you force people to stay within your company because they need some form of liquidity to, capitalize off of the loss. I Okay, so we've went through that. So let's take a look at. We're gonna now take a look at the Voyager's bankruptcy documents because now that's my favorite thing to read. Bankruptcy documents. You would have known. Post-pandemic life changes you. Suddenly you're out here reading bankruptcy documents on a Wednesday afternoon. So I think it's honestly it's shady. I mean, you can't be a platform that promises safety and yield. So let's get into this bankruptcy document. And all of this is public knowledge. I'm just discussing some things that I found to be interesting. Fight with yourself about that. Oh my god. It's filed in New York. Fascinating. Fascinating. Corporation, limited liability. Chapter 11, which means a debtor. A plan is being filed with this petition. Debtor has domicile, principal place of business. It's just for intermediaries. No. Funds will be available for distribution for unsecured creditors. We seem to have a lot of those. Okay, so here's it. Okay, so amended list of creditors have 50 largest unsecured credits and are not insiders. So Alameda unsecured loan party, which gave them the 500 million. Remember, they're only issuing 75 million. So there are a lot of people loaning. I would love to see the dates when this money was given, because to me that's very frustrating. Why would you guys accept bailout money if you had no intention of physically restructuring and you're just going to go to a bankruptcy? Because what that means to me is like you guys wanted to amass all the money you could, then file bankruptcy to protect the company funds, and then balance it between deposits. Because remember, Voyager was already running at a loss previous to this. So this is not the debt. We already saw the debt. Like it was like 1 billion, right? This is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, these are all the loans that were given to them prior to bankruptcy. So that's what I'm very, very confused about. I love clarity if someone could provide that. Like, why are you getting this and it's still not enough? Again, if I'm down bad, I know I'm declaring bankruptcy. I'm not gonna ask for all of this money from various people right before, right? Because in that context, doesn't bankruptcy protect the money that you do have from lawsuits, essentially, customer lawsuits. Yeah, it's a lot of money. Again, unsecured creditors, which means this money was given to them. I don't have a time and date. Unfortunately, that's not provided, but it just looks weird. I tried to tally it up. It was close to like, I think 500 million, but again, I like, the math don't be mathing sometimes. So it's like 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. It's like, okay, why did you guys accept all of this without a plan? Or what if this was your plan? I don't know. It's just a little weird. And how do you even expect to pay all of this back? That's the thing too. They expect, so that's what I'm saying. They took all of this, filed bankruptcy. You have to pay back, right? I don't know how bankruptcy works, but essentially that's the thing where you take bankruptcy and then your debt is like forgiven due to other natures. So, okay, so we went over that. We discussed this. So now, I actually want to show you guys their restructuring plan. Hold on. Hold on, hold on. So this is where I think they're pretty awful. The exact number will depend on what happens in the restructuring process and the recovery of 3AC's assets. The plan is subject to change, negotiate its customers, and ultimately vote. We put together a restructuring plan that will preserve the customer assets and provide the best value, best opportunity for maximum value. Very tricky word. Voyager said that its customers will get the opportunity to vote on the proposed plan of reorganization. It has put together a restructuring plan that will focus on preserving customer assets and maximizing its value. Along with the crypto assets, Voyager said that its holdings are equal to the amount of USD in customer accounts in the Metropolitan Commercial Bank of New York. These are special FDIC insured accounts. However, the FDIC guarantees protection up to $250,000 per customer in case the bank fails, but not the lending firm. So yeah, so before I get into that, because that's a whole conundrum, because they are, you know, mhm, they okay, hold on. I just want to show you guys one more thing before I get into it. They had a pre-posed recovery plan about how they were going to break down the assets. So I just wanted to show you if I could find that. It wasn't cute either. Ah, we got it. Okay, so pro rata payments are not popular. Under the restructuring plan, Voyager Digital cut. Under the restructuring plan, Voyager Digital proposes customer funds be returned through a combination of the below, with users able to choose the proportion of crypto and common equity received. Um, Pro rata shares of proceeds from FDIC cut recovery. I don't know what they're going to recover because both of the founders are not even in Singapore anymore. They can't keep track of them. Their lawyers are not disclosing things. They're not answering to message. So what are they going to recover? And that's going to take months. And this bankruptcy proceeding is going to take at least 4 years. You've heard of the Japanese brokerage exchange with the G box or whatever. I'm butchering it. I'm so sorry. But that happened in 2014, and people are just now getting their BTC back. So like, yeah, no, bye. Pro rata share of common shares in newly organized company. Pro rata shares of existing Voyager tokens. No one wants them. No. A maximum thresholds have not been discussed. This is a horrible bailout. Like, no, no. Because it's like, what if you had BTC and then the price of BTC goes to like 60K again, and they're giving you like pieces of random cryptos, like, and Voyager tokens? The ghetto. Yeah. I mean, that's unacceptable personally. And then I have to show you guys some other things. Let me stop sharing that. So this is how Voyager decided to deal with it. let's talk about their response and solutions outside of that. Voyager says customers will get their crypto when 3AC settles debts. 3AC is not going to settle their debts. So your customers are never getting their crypto, essentially. That's what you're saying. Wonderful. Yeah, that's a very poor response too, because it's like someone robs you and you're like, well, I'll pay my rent when the person who robs me returns my money. For sure. Like I'm just gonna wait for him to like bring the bag of money back to me on my doorstep. Mhm. So let's discuss a few more things and then we're done. Um, okay, so here's where it gets worse. So, I have a video for you really quick. So remember how Voyager kept saying, we're FDIC insured. Let's just like put all of our money like on the platform. It was a common, we kept saying we're FDIC insured, your money is safe with us. And I think they're even being shady to Celsius too. And it's like, you should have sat there and ate your food because now look at you. When that was happening with Celsius, I think they were making posts like, that would never happen with us. We don't do risky lending. No, you just give all of your money to one group that does risky lending. So again, should have sat there and eat your food. So remember, the statement was up from 2019 to 2020, and it states, have you heard? USD help with Voyager's FDIC insured up to 250K. Our customer security is our top priority. Growing your crypto portfolio today. Funny. Like, not haha funny. More like weird. And now, as of today, we've got your back. Through the strategic partnership with our banking partner, Metropolitan Commercial Bank, all customers' USD is held with Voyager is FDIC insured, which means in the rare event your USD funds are compromised, you are guaranteed a full reimbursement up to 250,000. So the cash you held with Voyager is protected. Okay, so then you go and change the wording. So in the rare event that your USD funds are compromised. So in this concept, individual accounts were compromised. Voyager lent out a lot of money to someone they shouldn't have, right? So with that being said, even if you had USD in this situation, because of the terms of the FDIC insurance stated on their website, they're saying, well, your account wasn't compromised. We're not responsible. Shady. This wording change wasn't done to just be fun. It was done specifically to remove responsibility and liability in the rare event that your USD funds are compromised. And again, because your accounts are locked, your funds weren't compromised, they just stopped withdrawals. So again, I hate sneaky verbiage. I hate sneaky verbiage. And now I'm going to show you guys the disclosure that you guys signed when you signed up for Voyager, if you signed up for Voyager. So, Voyager may refuse to allow USD withdrawals from customers' accounts, but when it seems appropriate and necessary in its sole discretion. So we're saying it's okay for them to stop withdrawals at any time. It's not okay, but you signed a disclosure, so it's okay. Voyager believes such refusal is necessary in order to Voyager to comply with anti-money laundering obligations. The withdrawal leaves insufficient funds to accounts to pay for unsettled transactions. The amount of the withdrawals greater than the sum of the USD deposits. So that hypothetically, I think people, you could, contact the lawyer's attorney because they're saying, because that's what I understand too, because with the FDIC agreement saying that the USD in your account is insured, why wouldn't you let people withdraw their USD if they had only USD in their account? Like if some people wanted to whatever, like stack USD until they're ready to like buy something at the bottom or whatever, like why can't they withdraw? So you shoot yourself being evil all the time. Um, the account ownership and convention detail associated with the withdrawal account does not match the account. So these are the reasons why they're saying. So, okay, so this disclosure is pretty predatory because it's saying in these three events, that's when they could suspend withdrawal for USD, but this is not the current case. So it's kind of suspect, right? Don't let your disclosures click you up. That's the thing. People's like, okay, well, when you don't abide by the disclosures, what do we do? The arbitration, customers agree to bear their own attorney fees in it. So this is them saying how if you sue them. So then I just want to prove. So they basically make you waive your right to a clear class action in one of these. Oh, I'm gonna find it. Sorry, guys. Ah, yes. The customers understands by clicking continue under by creating an account, you agree to the terms is legal equivalent to manually signing the customer agreement, and the customer will be okay. So that's a little aggressive. Customer understands and acknowledges that customers may arrange deposit USD or cash into the account. Cash deposit into the customer account is maintained in an ominous bank account in the Metropolitan Bank, which is a member of the FDIC Deposit Corporation. Voyager maintains the agreement with the bank where the bank provides a service associated. This was different. They recently changed this. This is not the same. The Voyager maintains the agreement with the bank where the bank provides a service associated with the movement of holding USD in connection to the provision of each account. Therefore, each customer is a customer of the bank. All U.S. regulatory obligations associated with the movement of holding USD in connection to the accounts are responsibility for the bank. With that clarity, any service pertaining to the movement of holding USD are not provided by Voyager and its affiliates. Cash in the account. What? That is such a like. Cash in the account is insured with $250,000 per dollar by FDIC, and that so they changed it. So originally it said all the cash was FDIC insured by Voyager, but now it says in the event that the bank falls, if specific and insurance deposits are met, FDIC insurance does not protect against the failure of Voyager. Yeah, they just changed this because they literally. So this was changed like a month ago, and I swear to someone because. So listen, you can't say that. Hey, you should. Yeah. So they're. So the customer agreement before did not say that. I'm gonna start saving customer agreements because that's shady. So previously, the customer agreement did not say that, and I think I have it in my phone. Maybe this can help someone. That's crazy. It doesn't matter. The FDIC is looking into them anyway, so I'm just gonna keep. Okay, so FDIC insurance does not protect against the failure of Voyager or any custodian or malfeasance by Voyager or any custodian employee. Voyager is not a member of the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority (FINRA) security and detection. So why would you advertise that you have FDIC insurance if it does not apply to your customers? That is negligent. That is misleading. Henceforth, anything that they signed before the statement was changed is voided. So hypothetically, if someone wanted to open up a class action in that theory because you were misled by the advertising of the FDIC insurance and you thought it was safe to put your assets there with your crypto assets until this withdrawal and this restructuring happened, hypothetically, that is a loophole, not as a window. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just saying you should look into it because this was not there a month ago. And that's all I'm saying. This was not there a month ago, and this is recently updated because they know they were using it incorrectly. Voyager is not responsible for any delays, losses, and fees connected to cryptocurrency deposits. Well, where are you responsible for clearly at this point? Customers understand that Voyager may hold customers' cryptocurrency together with the cryptocurrency of Voyager's other customer in ominous accounts or wallets. In addition, customers understand and authorize Voyagers to delegate all custody functions to one or more affiliate or third party. And you were sitting here talking about Celsius being degenerate and lending out people's crypto. Now look at you, it's in your disclosures. Delegate, so let's verbiage. Customers understand and authorizes the Voyager to delegate some or all of custody funds to one or more affiliates or third parties. Delegating your funds to an affiliate or to another person to use your crypto as they see fit in whatever they're doing in DeFi. Some custody function provided by the custodian may perform subordinate conduct in foreign jurisdiction conducted by custodians domicile registered to laws in foreign jurisdiction. Voyager will exercise a reasonable skill and care in selection. Apparently not. Voyager will maintain cute and complete accurate records reporting to customer cryptocurrency. In the event a customer, Voyager, or the custodian becomes subject to insolvency proceeding, it's unclear how the customer cryptocurrency would be treated. You guys, they had never had intentions of doing right. Look, in the event that the customer, Voyager, or custodian becomes subject to insolvency proceedings, it is unclear how customer cryptocurrency will be treated and the rights the customer will have to such cryptocurrency, how an insolvency court would categorize and treat customers' cryptocurrency is highly fact dependent on inquiry that necessarily depends on the circumstances of each individual case. In addition, within the U.S., there is a notable little governing-like treaty of the treatment of the customer cryptocurrency in the event of customers or Voyager custodian insolvency proceeding remains largely unsettled. Look, in such, the law governing will likely the treatment of the customer cryptocurrency in the event that the customer, Voyager, or the custodian insolvency proceeding remains largely unsettled. What happens if 3AC does not pay? And we know they may not have the ability to pay because if you've seen their investments, they are so spread out. Like, and again, you've already lost like probably 200 to 500 million from Luna. It's not coming back. None of that's coming back. So again, we don't know if that loss made them unable to, and it seems like they were doing what you shouldn't do, is taking derivative assets and borrowing against them, which also lose them to have contact with their original assets. So you're two L's down. So let's say you have your staked ETH, right? You have like 20 Ethereum. You take the stake ETH, you go put it in a loan. The loan gets liquidated. They take your stake ETH, right? And you have half of that amount in borrowed assets. You don't have enough to go redeposit to unlock your stake ETH. So now you have two L's. And then let's say they did this with like nearly every asset they hold in their portfolio. Oh my God, you're not down, you're double down. And seeing as that they had their hand into every project, on the board, we don't know how bad this loss is. I'm going to try to figure it out, but like, they're not going to pay them back. I just don't see how they can. Voyager does not make any representation to the likelihood of treatment of customer cryptocurrency in the event of Voyager and custodian insolvency proceedings, whether it's in the U.S. or any other jurisdiction. The customer explicitly understands and acknowledges the treatment of customer cryptocurrency in the event of a customer, Voyager, or custodian insolvency proceeding is unsettled, not guaranteed. It may result in a number of outcomes that are impossible to predict, including not limited to customers being treated as unsecured creditors or the total loss of all not limited to the customer being treated as an unsecured creditor or the total loss of all customer cryptocurrency. Y'all, they gonna rob you. This is recently updated. This did not look like this, and this is very specific. Okay. Consent to rehypothecate. Customers grant Voyagers the right and subject to applicable law without further notice to customers to hold cryptocurrency held in customer accounts on Voyager name, another to pledge, repledge, hypothecate, recomplicate, sell, lend, stake, or rent for staking, otherwise transfer or use any amount of cryptocurrency separately or together with amendment of ownership. We need rights in crypto because this is crazy. Like, for someone to think that this is okay and no one to be offended, you're nuts. Like, you're nuts. It's not okay. And guys, after watching this video, please Not your keys, not your crypto. Please move your stuff off of platforms like this. They have no intention of doing right by you. Like these. Okay, so let's go back. So here's where it gets a little sticky. Voyagers in the conflict fairly agree if the party cannot reach a complaint informally consistently. They want you to go to arbitration, which I always find to be rude because, you know. So here's where it gets good. Voyagers and his customers hereby waive any right to court to have trial by jury and the right to participate in a class action lawsuit or class wide arbitration. So before this even happened, they already removed your right to have a class action lawsuit. Shady, right? Because it's like, if you're not going to do anything shady, why do you have to waive my right? So yeah, that's there. Or class wide arbitration, which means that every single one of you would have to individually file a lawsuit. However, I think there is a loophole. Unless Voyagers and customers both agree in writing, the arbitrator may not consolidate any proceedings more than one customer's claim. Now, this leads me to believe that is why they moved to jump to Chapter 11 bankruptcy, because you wouldn't be petty. Every single person, they could have had like 1 million lawsuits, but because you're in Chapter 11 bankruptcy, it gets dismissed by the court until all of this is sorted out, which means we won't be able to have any type of legal action until the 3AC lawsuit is finalized or whatever they can scrap out of it. And then they're able to basically form, some type of agreement. So that has to end. And then Voyager's lawsuit has to start. But either way, you can't do a class action. You waived your right to a class action. So, which I find to be unfair. Arbitrary. So yeah. Either Voyager or custody may seek relief in small claims court for disputes obtained within that scope. So that's a thing. You can go to small claims court, but like, I think the maximum for small claims is like 10K though, which may work. Um, yeah. So now, non-waiver components. Customers understand that Voyager's failure to insist on any strict compliance contained in the customer agreement or any delay or failure to Voyager's part to exercise power or right given to Voyager in this customer agreement or continued course of such conduct on Voyager's part shall at no time operate as a waiver of power or right, nor shall single or partial exercise prelude any further exercise. Yeah, so yeah, they hate you guys because you were just only gonna have to do arbitration, which is like a legal process through them, kind of. I just think it deserves a jury in a full courtroom, but however, so the loophole with this is that FDIC wrongly advertised their FDIC insurance, right? So the bank that they held it, the Metropolitan Bank, had something else to say. So Metropolitan Commercial Bank maintains an omnibus account specifically designed to benefit Voyager customers. The omnibus account holds US dollars only. It does not hold cryptocurrency or other assets. Voyager is responsible for maintaining records and determining the ownership and amount of each customer's funds and deposit. So weird. So your USD in your Voyager is not even reflected in their bank. They're just saying that, they agree to some form of reflection. Voyager must maintain accuracy. So that's sketchy to start with. It's a horrible agreement. So the Metropolitan Commercial Bank is a New York chartered bank and a member of the FDIC Insurance Corporation. Voyager customer funds held by the Metropolitan Commercial Bank are insured by the FDIC to a maximum amount of coverage per depositor under federal law. The standard FDIC insurance coverage amount is currently $250,000 per depositor for each account ownership category. FDIC insurance coverage is only able to protect against the failure of Metropolitan Commercial Bank. So even if Voyager became insolvent, went into bankruptcy, lost everything, it doesn't matter because It's only if Metropolitan Banks fails itself, it would be redeemable. So to use this as advertising is very misleading. And I think they had numerous campaigns where they were like, ha ha ha, like, come here, we have FDIC insurance, it's all good over here. And it's like, it doesn't work if it only applies to the Metropolitan Commercial Bank. FDIC insurance does not protect against the failure of Voyager, any act of omission to Voyager or its employees, or the loss of value in cryptocurrency and assets, yet you're making posts. So yeah, so that's inappropriate. So again, NDAs and agreements only work if you guys are not doing something illegal. To misrepresent an FDIC insurance and advertisement and then put it all over your documentation and then allege that this bank even uh, it could be redeemable through the bank holding. That's why you're partnered with the bank when it only applies, doesn't even apply in that way, is inappropriate. It's misrepresentation. And I don't think that you can legally do that. So that may be the loophole to customers. You can possibly say that, hey, I was misled. Like, I didn't know that I didn't have FDIC. And I know a lot of people kept saying, a lot of people were telling me, like, oh, yay, they have FDIC insurance. I'm like, it doesn't matter. You guys are not holding USD in it. So I don't know why they even use that as a marketing tactic. To me, that was like the first red flag. It's like you're advertising that you have FDIC insurance and you're a cryptocurrency lend. I don't even want to call them a brokerage because you can't send all cryptos out. I guess like a one-sided brokerage, right? But yeah, so that was always a red flag for me. Like, why are you advertising? No one cares if you have FDIC insurance. We're trying to get people to, holding large amounts of USD in their accounts for this reason. So them advertising that to me was like a red flag. Like, we're all using crypto, why wouldn't you be the first to allocate some form of a national crypto insurance, like be the trendsetter for that? Obviously, that's an ongoing issue. There needs to be some provided insurance by these exchanges or crypto lending platforms, because honestly, you guys shouldn't sign up for any lending or like interest bearing account until they can show you some form of insurance for your assets. Because aside from getting interest, what benefit are you having by holding your crypto on a platform? There's really, aside from interest, there's no other benefit because you could lose it all. So the next platform has to come out with insurance, a readable disclosure that actually protects you, just in good intentions. So now the FDIC to investigate bankrupt Voyager digital insurance claim. See, you didn't play with the wrong one because it wasn't appropriate for them to display it like that. Because it's like, if you had this strange FDIC insurance, it should have been like, that should have been on your disclaimer since you wanted to advertise the whole thing, right? So the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, has launched its probe into the bankrupt crypto country Voyager Digital for allegedly deceiving users. You did. FDIC is consumer protection agency that insures users' deposits overseas financial institutions, including banking, for safety and protects Voyagers in the event of bank failures. Voyager Digital, a Toronto-based crypto firm, reportedly marketed that all depositors in the firm were covered by FDIC insurance through its partnership with the Metropolitan Commercial Bank, Voyager's banking partner. In simple terms, it may have sold Voyager as FDIC insured. The FDIC spokesperson confirmed to Bloomberg that only the Metropolitan Commercial Bank is insured, not Voyager. Hence, the depositors are not protected against Voyager's failures, including bankruptcy and loss of its products and value. Last week, Voyager filed for bankruptcy after one of his, we know, again, why? They were delisted, as they should. And a blog post dates, yep, up to 2019. So up to the past 3 years, you guys have been advertising as if you're FDIC insured to cover both Voyager and the banking failure. And the rare event that your USD is compromised due to a company or our banking failure, you're guaranteed a reimbursement. And yesterday, this wording, however, was modified. You cannot modify users if the customer signed up based upon that wording. So you can modify it, but any customers that signed up and saw that they were misled. So you can do it now. It doesn't matter. People can't deposit onto Voyager. So take your L and have a nice day. Like, that's shady. All of this is like messy and shady. Yeah, your funds are compromised. Yeah, so in conclusion, Voyager, that might be the loophole for a pending lawsuit. If you have USD in your platform and you weren't able to withdraw and you were misled, so that's what I'm saying. You can set up a disclosure. However, if you operate illegally outside of the disclosure and make statements that are not true, that is no longer valid to the customer. So now you open yourself up for a whole new, um, you know, box of issues. So I hope the legal system, I hope FDIC steps in and forces the refund for USD holders on their platform, because legally it was a misrepresentation and you cannot do that. There may not be full regulations, but legally as a corporation, you can't misrepresent yourself in a financial way. It's misleading, and this was the number one reason people were depositing with you. So, it comes to a point where people have to do as what they say, because you're making X amount of profits because of everyone's deposit. You literally have to be of your word in some way, and they were not of their word. So, you know, okay, so I hope this clarified why I think Voyager is just a little shady boots. And if you guys have any questions, hit me up on Instagram at cryptobay.cafe. Have a wonderful day, afternoon, night, evening, year. Okay. Bye, guys. Bye.